Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside. That smokiness, guys, that smokiness. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, a cup of coffee, maybe something harder, as I always say. Depends on what part of the planet you're on. It is Monday. We are back. Another great week ahead of us. So today we're going to be talking about photography. Sometimes we're talking text, sometimes we're talking video. Today is photo. And the fact of the matter is, film is better than digital in 2022. So some people are going to be like, what is he talking about? Doesn't he know digital is kick-ass? Film sucks? Well, just to let you know, I come from a film background. I shot digital ever since the very beginning. I was an early adopter. I had the very first 1D that came out ever. It still had a CCD in it before they went to CMOS. So I've been shooting digital for a long time, but I absolutely love film, and I still shoot film today when it comes to my fine artwork. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about it and why I do believe film is still relevant today in 2022 and why it is better in many instances. And people don't even know this. A lot of the photographers that listen to me have never shot film ever. Before I go any further, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out over at JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books. Whenever I do any type of education on photography at all, I always have the people, whoever it is, actually get an old film camera, shoot a roll of film, develop it themselves, most likely black and white, develop them themselves, take a look at those negatives, scan them in, and then either print them themselves or send them away for print. It gives them a all-encompassing, all-rounded type of feel. They know exactly what is going on, what the camera is doing, what it can and cannot do, how to figure out what light is doing, and it slows you down in comparison with digital. As I always say, it's spray and pray. So let's get right into this. Number one, film photography is cheaper. No matter how you look at it, the course of a lifetime of photography, it will always be cheaper to shoot film. People are like, oh, it's expensive. Film's expensive. Yeah, but figure out how much it is for a digital camera every season, every couple of years. $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. Now we're seeing $4,000 and $5,000 for a camera. Do that a couple of times and you'll see that you'll have already spent everything that you'll ever spend in a lifetime on film. So film photography is definitely cheaper in general, no matter how you look at it. Also, film photography does not require any type of power. There's no batteries that you absolutely have to have. Now, there is some film cameras that require you to have a battery if you want to use, for example, a light meter. Here's an example right here. This is my Minolta SRT 102, and in the bottom of this unit, there's a small watch battery, tiny watch battery. I mean tiny, one of those little tiny things, and there it is. It's right under there, and that is it. This battery lasts for about probably 2 years. I don't know. It lasts forever, and that's all it does is drive the light meter in here. That is it. You don't need it if you don't want to. Maybe you have a Sekonic and you want to take a look at the light by using your light meter instead of using this, which I always recommend anyways. But you can shoot with no battery at all. So that's always nice. That means that you can shoot film anywhere, anytime, and you don't have to worry about being tethered to some type of charging station or batteries all the time. And it basically alleviates the whole pressure of saying, how many shots do I have left on this battery before I have to change it out like chiclets? Why do I have a pocket full of chiclets? All these little tiny batteries constantly swapping them out because they go dead all the time. And once again, you don't have to worry about battery power. That means you don't have to worry about missing the shot. Your camera is always ready to be used at any given time. That's the beauty of not having batteries. Now, another thing that's better with film in comparison to digital is film allows you to control highlights and lowlights a little bit better. It has the ability to resolve more details in the darks or in the shadows, while it's also a little bit more forgiving in the highlights. So with a digital camera, you're going to be more likely to blow out your highlights than you would on film. Not bad. Even if you shoot in RAW with digital, film will still be a little bit more forgiving. The other thing with film that's great is it gives you greater dynamic range. Also, a better, let's say, color consistency. when you go from roll to roll to roll to roll, the color science, the crystals, the emulsion remains the same for the most part. At least it should. You're going to have consistency from roll to roll to roll, from shutter to shutter to shutter release for hundreds, for thousands of shots over the course of not just a day or a week or a month, but it could be the course of a lifetime. That's why photographers, and they say, I absolutely love this specific film, and that's all that they shoot thereafter. Why? Because they get the exact same results every time, which is great. Also, resolution with film is by far higher than with a digital camera. Digital is getting there, but still the resolution of film is just second to none. The only caveat to that is, of course, low light. Digital will be better in low light than film. That's just the way it is. Film was made for sunlight. It loves light, a lot of it. So you're going to want to use film that is going to be appropriate to low light if you need to get there. For the most part, you get to about maybe 3200 on film, and then you can push it a stop or two after that, and you have to deal with a little bit of grain. But I'll get into grain in just a second, because not all grain is created equal. Now, the other thing that I absolutely love about film that is completely different to digital is the way film blends color a lot more smoothly. Film has no delineation of any kind. There is no pixels that are specific spots in time, let's say. It's an emulsion that goes throughout, and it is a random emulsion at that. So film is not affected by certain patterns or possibly a lack of tonality where you end up with some really ugly images that have banding and other issues. The reason why the banding there is, for the most part, the tonality is missing, and now the digital camera cannot seamlessly create that gradation. Whereas with film, you don't have that problem, okay? The whole thing is gradation. There is no specifics. It is non-linear. Film is non-linear. Let's call it organic. So color on film is more like watercolor, whereas the colors or the shapes and whatnot on digital is more like an illustration where you have delineation and borders, whereas with film, it's more artly, let's say. Artly? I guess that's a word. It's very soft, and the transitions between colors and tonality are soft and smooth, just like a watercolor, in comparison to, like I said, a illustration. So that's the way I look at it. Now, back to the idea of grain and how I said all grain is not created equal. Grain that you see on film is not the same as grain or noise that you see digitally. Digital noise is very linear, all right? The dots are all in patterns, all in rows, and that's it. The grain that you see in film is very organic. It changes. It's a mush. You don't know what you're getting. So what ends up happening is a lot of photographers will go for a specific grain that they want to use for a certain image. So they might go with a large grain film or a very tight, fine grain film if they don't want to see the grain at all. So it is an artistic decision that the photographer can make even before making the picture in comparison to digital, where you really don't have that. Now, Fujifilm has been trying to do all this fake film stuff forever, and they do a pretty good job at it. But you cannot compare the actual true grain of film, that organic nature, to what you see in this reproduction or this fake grain that is being produced by the different companies. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look the same. Like I said, grain is an artistic decision. You can have it or you can not. You can have a lot of it or you can have none of it. It is completely up to you, and it is determined by the film that you purchase. What do you want your image to look? Do you want it to look almost digital where there's no grain at all? Or do you want some real heavy grain so that it looks stylistic in nature? So that's always cool for me, because you get to make that decision beforehand. Also, film forces you to just simply slow down. You know, the idea of spray and pray that we all giggle and laugh about over the last 10 years that people do when it comes to digital, it is true. I can't tell you how many photographers I've seen shoot weddings and they're just motoring like if they're shooting sports or something. I don't even know. By the end of the wedding, they have 2, 3, 4,000 images that they have to cull through. What is wrong with people? Could you imagine culling through 4,000 images for a wedding? How do you make any money, man? That's craziness. So, like I said, film allows you to, or forces you to slow down. Film costs money, so you're only going to shoot so many pictures, and that is it, number one. Number two, each roll of film has a limited number of images that you get out of it. Might be 12, it might be 24, maybe 36, maybe 10 if you're shooting some 120. The bottom line here is you have a finite amount until you have to reload things, right? So you're more thoughtful, more considerate with the images. And you're not just motoring through. You're like, hey, look, I got 20 frames per second. Yeah, what the hell are you going to do with all that? So film definitely allows you or forces you to slow down. The other thing is future proof. I think that some people don't understand this, but digital cameras are like toilet paper, right? You're constantly throwing them out. Every season, every year, every couple of years, you're buying a new camera. $1,000, $2,000, now $5,000, $6,000 every couple of years. Whereas a film camera, I akin it to a timer, a little egg timer. You set things up, you set your egg timer, and it takes the shot. And that is it. So what ends up happening is there's not a lot of mechanics to it. They last forever. The digital cameras that you and I have from 10 years ago, people don't want them. They have no value. They'll give you $50 for them if you're lucky, even though you spend $1,000 or $2,000 for them. Whereas an old Mamiya or a Rolly or something, you're going to get still some good money for it. Why? Because it is a quality piece of machinery. It is not a bunch of digital mess. It doesn't have a whole bunch of circuits, just something waiting to go bad. There is not very many things that can go bad. So they last a lifetime, and sometimes even past your lifetime. These cameras can be handed down from generation to generation, whereas a digital camera, the next generation is going to put your digital camera into the wastebasket. And that's just simply it. So what is also really great about film is that it allows a photographer to experience larger formats. What do I mean by that? Some photographers do not have the ability to spend $2,000 or $3,000 for a full frame digital camera. Some of those photographers that already have full frame digital do not have the money to spend for a medium format digital camera. With film, you can experience all these larger formats. So you could get into a 35 millimeter or a full frame film camera for probably $50, $100. As far as medium format, you can get into a medium format, really nice camera for maybe $300, $400, maybe $700 the most. And that's for all the whistles and bells. So it is very cheap in comparison to digital. Also, if you want to reduce your cost a little bit, you can go with black and white instead of using color film. Black and white's a little bit cheaper. You could also do the developing yourself at home. You can even scan those negatives if you want at home, and even print at home if you would like to. And if you want to work on any of those scans in post-production with your favorite editor, you can do that also. So going with film, your complete cost is going to be a lot less. There's a lot of things that you can do to make it extremely cheap to shoot film. I would personally suggest that everyone tries film. When you shoot film, all manual, and you use a Sekonic or something for light metering, and you start understanding what's going on with the Holy Trinity, right? Your shutter speed, your aperture, your film speed. There's a lot of things that you learn by doing this. And then later on, if you go and shoot digital again, you're going to understand what you're doing. And many times I've seen photographers try out film. They either stick with film, or when they go back to digital, they start shooting manual because they understand what's going on. And now they feel like they have control over the images that they're creating. and they're not just relying on the camera to hopefully make good decisions. My suggestion is to pick up an old 35mm camera or a medium format, grab some film and just shoot it and enjoy it and see what you get out of it. I personally think that if you bought a roll of film, every time you bought a latte instead of a latte, you're going to get a lot more enjoyment, a lot more gratification, many more memories. The images that you produce and you're able to share is going to far outweigh the small amount of gratification or satisfaction that you get from a Starbucks, probably tenfold. So, do I shoot digital? Yes. Do I shoot digital every day? Yes. Is everything that I do for the most part for my professional work digital? As of right now, yes. But all of my fine art work, all of the prints that I do that are large, 30 by 40s, even 40 by 60s, all of those are done with medium format or 35mm film cameras. Why? Because it allows me to slow down and put my art and thought into what I'm doing. For me, the film print, the grain, the way it looks, the way I like it to look, is just second to none. My question to you is, number one, do you shoot film? If you do, what cameras do you use? Are you shooting 35mm? Are you shooting 120, 220? What are you shooting? Also, are you thinking about shooting film if you're not already shooting film? Is it something that is of interest to you? And also, would you be interested in me coming up with like a film photography series? Is it something that you are interested in? I've been thinking about this for a while. It's 2022. I want to start doing some other creative things with the channel. You see that I've been breaking out into some more tech stuff. I want to do more things. I want to do a lot more. There's so much more that I can offer to you guys. And I hold myself back because I don't know what you guys want, to be completely honest. And if I put it out there and it falls on deaf ears, it's just a ton of work for me for nothing. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to give you what you want. So once again, do you shoot film? If you do, what kind of film? What kind of cameras? What kind of film do you use? Also, if you're not shooting film, is it something that you want to do? And finally, are you interested in me putting together a film photography type of series? Let me know. Let me know. If you got anything out of this video, if you liked it even slightly, please consider throwing it a thumbs up. That would be helpful. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and click this little bell icon over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Love you all. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.